This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
Thank you for being our friends. We are here to record again. Let's jump back in time and talk 80s TV shows. Boom, boom, boom. And if you're under 40 and you only know a few, you will see our attempt at comedy. And if you listen to the end, we'll like you more than a friend.
That's not a guarantee.
Might be from me.
Wow. Good job.
Great.
Thanks for jumping in there, guys.
Yeah. I feel geriatric and joyful. Yeah. Welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Zack.
We'd like to thank you for listening to our last show, our Twinner Winner Cover Songs edition.
So fun. So ridiculous.
Yeah.
Official statement. Hey, thanks for being so nice, Twitter. Sorry.
Apologetic, maybe?
I want to apologize for you guys being mean.
You were a little filled with venom.
I was a little bit, and I maybe it came across too strong. Probably it was real. But thanks for being so nice. You guys are great. I love you. There's no problem here. But hey, speaking of...
Hey, Zach, blink twice if you need help.
It's okay. I just got a Twitter knife to my back. No. But seriously, thank you for everybody being so nice.
It's fun.
In addition to that, we also have a comment I really enjoyed from Mr. Todd Callan, featured on the show many times. And may I say, he has great hair. My wife and I got into a heated debate over which version of The Sound of Silence is better, which is funny to me because it wasn't on the show. In fact, it got mentioned all the time. And may I just ask, why? Why do people like this song so much?
It's the new hotness.
It's not. That's like 5 years ago.
What I mean is, if we've done that show, if we done the show early, Baconsale people are like, why isn't Mad World on there?
Yeah. She likes the terrible Disturbed cover, which is a bold take, I guess. And I appreciate the vastly superior original version by Simon and G. Great episode. I love the shout outs to Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. They also covered Over the Rainbow.
So what we're saying is don't listen with your spouse because it may cause issues.
No, what we're saying is
Potentially.
Baconsale sparks discussion.
Debate.
Sure.
Healthy
Debate between spouses.
It's always healthy when the opening line is, well, you're wrong.
Yeah. Well, and people were like, why didn't you do The Sound of Silence? And we're like, well, we had to save some stuff for next time.
We have enough songs. But also, send more.
Yeah, I've already added some to the playlist.
There was
suggestion
great
list.
suggestions. Thank you so much. In fact, there were also additional suggestions for the other versions of Twinner Winner as well, for the like same song titles and things like that. So thank you so much. We absolutely love that. And then also, gentlemen, can we just give ourselves a little pat on the back?
Always do.
For we actually got a compliment from Marley Farron.
What?
Who said, hey, look at that. You got something right. One of my favorite songs is the better version of Mad World. Which
it felt like a backhanded compliment at the same time.
It was, for sure. But you got to take the victories where they come.
Yeah,
because once again, and it's always funny, Marley Farron goes on every version of social media and tells us we're wrong every bracket. And it's honestly like, it's like having cereal in the morning. You just need it to get through. So I appreciate it. And then additionally, many people made comments about the episode art.
Yes.
I just want to thank you, Kent, for your Photoshop skills, for making it look like we really, three grown men climbed into a bed together and had our photo taken somehow.
But if it's Photoshop, how did the blanket crease that way if we weren't all
gotten
the same?
so good.
You've gotten so... Compare that to season one.
Are you just trying to not mention who or what took our picture?
Save it for the end of the year.
There's no way that anyone was hovering over with a camera. Oh, my word.
It wasn't awkward at all.
Thank you so much for putting together that episode art and haunting my dreams. Thank you.
Yeah. You looked very disturbed in that picture. Just kind of, what are you guys doing? Also, hey, while we have your attention, our anniversary show is coming up.
Again?
Yes.
I feel like we just did that last year.
We did, yes. But we made another revolution around the sun, and so we are going to be doing our anniversary show coming up in a couple weeks. Keep an eye on our social media pages, because very soon we will be posting a link to our pre-quiz. This is a chance where you can take a quiz, take a chance on us, and see if you're qualified to be.
Just so you know, there will be an ABBA question this year. That's all.
Oh, in the show?
Spoilers.
There will be. Study up.
Yeah. It's all okay. It's all ABBA based.
It's actually,
Every question's about ABBA.
Yeah.
So I hope you know how to spell Swedish names. No, but yes, keep an eye on our social media page. We've got the pre-quiz coming up, which means you could have a chance to come here on Baconsale and see if you have what it takes to be our new listener with a capital L.
And truthfully, if you don't think that you will do that well, don't give up before you've even tried. Just jump on there,
Honestly,
try
yeah.
it.
Well, because the quiz is it's intended to be fun anyway. We're trying to make it fun.
But also
funny.
honor call. Don't cheat.
Don't cheat.
Don't
Yes,
cheat.
We say at the beginning, don't look up answers online.
Because if you cheat on that and then come on the show and get
Demolished.
completely demolished,
It's happened.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
But try anyway, because hey, maybe the person that got a higher score than you can't make it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we want as many people to have a chance as possible.
Yes. But that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zach?
We're talking about the 1980s, Joel.
Zach, where were you born?
I was born in 1990.
So you don't have much reference for the 80s.
But we're talking about TV shows in the 1980s, which a lot of them were also playing in the 90s and 2000s.
But why would I and Kent do that to you? Why would we be so cruel as to talk about a
I
subject
mean, we're selfish, but we're not that selfish.
where you were barely even a whisper?
I have been bad on the show lately, and I'm going in timeout.
Or-
we should probably bring someone else on.
And we
Or
have...
alternatively, we have a guest.
yes, we do.
We'd like to welcome to the show Casey Cummings.
Thank you.
Casey, this isn't because you won the action movie bracket with your choice of Die Hard, by the way.
That happened to be coincidence where it was like, oh yeah, he won and he's coming on the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's great.
Everything's coming up Casey right now, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, The Matrix wins.
I see. I see how it is.
But
I
Casey,
voted
why
for
don't you introduce yourself to the listener and let them know a little bit about who you are?
Well, I am a long-time Baconsale listener.
You started season 2, right? That's the right time to start.
I started episode 1.
Oh, we're
season
so sorry.
1.
Oh,
Yeah.
first time, long time over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am a local. I live just about 12 minutes away from the Bacon Cave.
Oh, that's
Okay.
lucky. That's way shorter than Joel and I.
And unlike Zack, I was born in 1977, so I am well familiar with 80s TV.
Okay.
In fact, I don't
you're
really
right.
watch a ton of TV nowadays. I watched a lot more in the 80s.
So this is your idea / fault
Yes.
that we're doing this
Yeah,
show.
he actually
It is.
he kind of came up and said, "Hey, I'm a patron of Baconsale at I'm listener level. I get to sponsor a show. I would like to do an 80s TV show." Like he had an idea right out of the gate, and I was like, "All right,
Like, hey, that sounds like Baconsale. Let's do it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
That sounds like us." But you did have a stipulation, if I recall. What was your stipulation for a quote unquote what makes an 80s show?
So
An 80s
I
show?
wanted, it had at least 50% of the total seasons have to be in the 80s.
Yes.
So I don't want you to pick, like, I didn't want people picking a 1989 show.
Yeah,
Which
no,
there
it's
were-
tough.
There's a lot of them.
I had 3 choices.
Like,
that
for
I was
example,
like,
Full House started in 1989.
right.
But
Most
that's
of it aired in 1990.
Right. So we
Right.
cannot include a show like
No,
that.
so, like,
or
I-
Ninja Turtles, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are some shows that even just tipped barely into the 90s. And I was like, dang it. So it was a good restriction to put on us because it did kind of corral us into a certain mindset that I probably would have gone with easy answers a lot of people know. And then I went, you know what? I'm going to go a little more 80s hipster on this one. But before we get into the actual topic of the day, we do have some questions since you're a guest, Casey.
Oh.
We have our questions here for our guests that come on the show. There's a series of 11 questions currently. Even if you don't have a strong opinion about it, Casey, we'd like you to just give an answer, and you'll make one of us very happy and one of us slightly annoyed.
Well, as always, you'll hear in the background them going, yes, no.
And you can't tell who's who, but just know that one of us is happy. Are you ready, Casey?
I am.
Okay. Question number 1. Which is better, Karate Kid or Karate Kid 2?
Karate Kid.
Which is worse, Star Wars Episode 1 or Star Wars Episode 2?
Episode 2.
Yes. Do you rate movies using stars or letter grades?
Letters.
Which is the more America movie, Rocky 4 or Independence Day?
Well, Rocky 4 ended the Cold War, so I'm going to say Rocky 4.
Independence Day ended the Alien War.
Uh-huh.
Is Nightmare Before Christmas a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie?
Halloween.
Buffy or X-Files?
X-Files.
The Lord of the Rings or Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Which is the more... I like it. You like Lord of
Now
the Rings.
ASMR.
Yeah. Which movie is more Christmassy, Die Hard or Lethal Weapon?
Well,
Your choice.
I'm going to say Die Hard on that one.
That was your pick. Phantom of the Opera or Les Miserables?
Les Mis.
Okay. Labyrinth or Never-Ending Story?
Never ending story.
Yes. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days or 10 Things I Hate About You?
I haven't seen either one, but I'm going to say 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes,
I
counting it.
I think you're over 50% Kent.
Team Kent, that was 90% me.
That was a lot of Kent.
Thanks
in
for
there.
coming, Casey.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Thank you, Casey, for participating in that ridiculous quiz. Now we know a little bit more about you as a listener.
Right. And so we have 10 categories. Going to be some weird ones. And these come from dramas and sitcoms of the 80s, right?
Yes. These
and
are
cartoons, I suppose.
Oh, yeah. Cartoons can be included, but you didn't give any stipulation that way. So basically, any TV
television
series that aired on the television during that 50% of the 80s is
Zach, have
qualified.
you seen any 80s TV shows?
Maybe. We'll
Like
see.
Nick at Night, maybe?
Yeah,
That sounds like a guess.
I think so. I watched Cheers on Nick at Night.
and that counts. That's
Does
an
that
80s
count?
show.
That's
That shares
majority.
his 80s.
Majority
I
of the
watched
80s.
another show that we can't talk about anymore. That's all. I mean, I don't know. I watched a little Nick at Night.
Yeah.
Was TV Land? Did that have 80s shows, or did that go
I
a
think
little
so.
further back?
No, it's strange though. I was born in 1981, and I shouldn't have seen a lot of these shows. But for some
you're
reason,
not a 0 year? Zach, 0 years.
I'm a number one. That's all I
It's
need.
hard for math.
Listen, year zero.
Yeah.
Do you even exist?
Year zero?
Yeah.
What? It sounds like he's the start of a pandemic.
We're zero cool.
Yeah, I agree. You are zero cool. But and Joel, you and I we're slightly younger than you, Casey. Not very much younger. But why did we watch a lot of these 80s shows? Because we were children.
We were, but at the same time, there was so much less to watch back then. It
Yeah.
was what was airing on TV. And
Or
so
in
you watched what you
syndication.
could. Yeah, but you
Was-
watched what you could, what was airing on TV.
Was there not a lot on Netflix back then?
Oh,
There was not. There was zero.
That's when you got him in the mail.
Zach, Fox was a new channel.
It was.
There were
the
three
news,
channels.
the news place.
Oh yeah, right.
2, 4, 5, 13, and 30 sometimes.
That's regional.
and 11, yeah.
That was PBS. That doesn't
Yeah.
count.
I got PBS occasionally, KBYU.
Yeah,
right?
because you had to.
Yeah.
But essentially, like, I just remember a time, and this was before I ever had watched cable or anything, but there was like 60s, 70s, and 80s TV shows on at all times.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really, as a kid, I didn't really discriminate between any of them.
Well, what's weird to me is I don't know how much of these shows I actually watch, meaning how often.
Yeah.
It feels like I was just watching TV all the
Right.
time. But at the same time, I don't think I was because I also played outdoors a lot. So some of these feel very familiar to me. And
Sure.
I want to go back in time and just look at little Joey and be like, how much of this did you actually watch?
Well, you didn't have a job.
I didn't.
So.
But what I'm saying is, like, did one episode just make a really big impression, or did I watch that episode multiple times and so
Yeah.
it's stuck in my brain?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Good to know. Okay.
Yeah.
All
Let's
right,
jump into it.
Zach, let's get it started.
The first one, of course, it was Saturday morning, gentlemen. I'd like to know your best cartoon.
Before we jump into that, I just want to say they do have, like, on YouTube, you can find Saturday morning cartoons, and someone just recorded like a 3-hour block.
Amazing.
Of the TV back then.
With the commercials
Vintage
and everything.
commercials
and
included,
everything.
which is weird.
My
You're like,
kids beg to watch those.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're the dumb cartoons.
Yeah.
They're not the greatest ones all the time. And they have the ads, and they're like, we like it so much. And I'm like, there's something magical about
it's a
Saturday
little
morning cartoons.
slice of life deal.
Yeah.
So, what's your best cartoon? We'll start with you, Joel.
Zach, I just want you to know you're going to get a point. I
If
don't know
I've
what
seen
these
any of
points
these?
if you've seen any of these. Okay.
Can I redeem them at Golden
And
Corral?
not that
Yes.
you know them, that you've seen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not just that it's in the pop culture zeitgeist.
Oh, yeah,
that
'cause
you've
I've
seen
probably
an
heard of
episode.
them.
Yeah.
I've heard of 8 is Enough. Is that in the 80s?
Yes.
Casey?
I believe so.
Judge?
I'm going to say yes, but I'm not even positive on that one.
Point.
It is enough. Is 77 to 81.
Nope.
So
That doesn't
no.
count.
70s.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
I-
No,
No
sorry. But no, that's not my favorite cartoon because it's not a cartoon.
Nope.
There are many popular cartoons of the 80s. And I could have easily narrowed this down to like my top 3 and had
Sure.
a good time with it.
Yeah.
But in the end, I had to go with the one that said my name. Boom. Zach, do you know this?
I context clues tell me this is G.I. Joe.
A G.I. Joey, actually.
G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero.
Yeah.
This aired from September 1983 to November 1986. 2 seasons, 95 episodes.
How did they do that?
Well, G.I. Joe, if you don't know the plot, by the way, I can tell you the plot.
Okay, go on.
G.I. Joe is the codename for America's daring, highly trained special mission force. Its purpose to defend human freedom against Cobra, a ruthless terrorist organization determined to rule the world.
And also to sell action figures.
Exactly. This show was created as a partnership between Marvel and the Sunbrow Productions and Hasbro. So Marvel had the comics, and then Hasbro made the toys, and then they made a TV show based on that. And so this was a commercial All these episodes were
Much
commercials
like
to sell
most of
toys.
these cartoons were.
The
right?
toy makers would literally come up with a story for the character, their new toy.
Yeah.
They'd give it to the writers. The writers would write up a script, and they'd make a show.
Lady J,
introducing.
Scarlet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Scarlet was there from the beginning. Lady
Yeah.
J came in a little bit later. But I watched G.I. Joe a lot, and that theme song really does just like buoy up my soul when it comes on.
Did you ever get annoyed though at the battles that nobody really died? It was just lasers going above everyone's
heads. No one ever
heads?
died on screen in the entire run of the series.
And of course, they were lasers.
Yes.
Not like
it always bugged me.
like no bullets.
No, they had to like tone it down. Like no one could die on screen. Like they could reference death off screen. Like if someone died, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, they died."
Yeah.
Like they visited an alternate reality, and there were skeletons of some of the G.I. Joes, which was
But
scary.
it's a censorship thing. The censors are like, lasers are fine, bullets are out.
Lasers are fine, and not only that, people didn't die in explosions. You always see people parachuting out last minute or jumping out last minute.
Yep.
They never killed anyone. It always bugged me, by the way, that the good guys had the red lasers and the
it
bad
doesn't
guys
make
had the
sense,
blue
right?
lasers.
Yeah.
Because just I guess it's
Star Wars
fandoms coming out. But and then at the end of episodes, eventually, because they did a mini series at first, and then it was popular, and so they ordered like 55 episodes and said, "Give us all the episodes." And they're like, we got to fill the time somehow, so they add the PSA at the end of every episode,
The best part of every episode.
which that's become memes and YouTube altered
So
clips,
good.
like a live wire be on the ground, and the
Yeah.
kids be like, "Hey, let's go play with it," and then a G.I. Joe guy would walk up, "Don't play with live wires; they can shock you." Now we know, and knowing is half the battle.
Zach, have you seen these?
I've seen these clips.
The
on
parodies
internet.
are amazing.
But
Yeah.
have you actually seen an episode of G.I. Joe?
No. No points.
It is fun though. Like I said, there's others that if they don't get brought up, I might give them an honorable mention. But right now, I'll just say G.I. Joe is a real American hero in my mind. I love those. I love those episodes. I watched a couple today. Still brought me a lot of joy.
Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. The globe-trotting, treasure-hunting, money-making adventures of billionaire Scrooge McDuck and his nephews.
Wow.
This is a TV show based off an Ebenezer Scrooge character. Isn't that so weird?
Yeah. When was the air dates on this?
So 1987 to 1990.
Okay, that fits.
Yeah. Well, I know.
I'm the 80s police.
And also like rebooted like 4 years ago.
And also pretty good. The reboot was good.
I enjoyed it very much.
Yeah, but the originals has something to it. I was really debating like top 3 on this one, where I'm like, I watched this other show more. I had more toys. I didn't collect DuckTales toys, right? Because
No,
it
there
wasn't as
a lot of
merchandisable.
merchandise. Yeah.
But I wanted a money bin to buy all the toys, to
Yes.
swim in and probably die
Did
in.
you ever like want to dive into pennies that you had like in a bowl?
Yeah, and then I got
You
a
realized how hard it was.
One time I reached into a jar of change and went, Scrooge McDuck is crazy. This
Yes.
hurts so much.
It does.
But he's a duck, right? And he could spit him out like it was water, I guess. But this has the best theme song of the 80s. It still has like these adventures that take place in 20 minutes that I can fondly recall.
Yeah.
Because there was like a mini Indiana Jones adventure in some of these episodes. And it was always so fun. I do think someone should call DCFS on Huey, Dewey, and Louie's parents. Because where and who are they? I don't know.
They're Donald Duck's. Oh no, yeah,
No, they're not.
nephews.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, even through my older lens, like obviously nostalgia goggles will kind of take over all of these choices here. But this one still kind of holds up. I'll still watch this with my kids here and
It
there.
does. Ken, that was actually one of the ones I was considering.
Yeah.
But I did go back to what toys did I own?
Right, and that's just it.
Like I was kind of obsessed with G.I. Joe for a while.
I had so many He-Man action figures.
I had so many
because
G.I.
those
Joes.
were really
Yeah.
okay. But I do think DuckTales, as far as quality goes, had the Disney animation behind it, and it wasn't as like sketchy.
It's good. It's a good series.
Yeah.
Both and the reboot, oddly enough, still a good series.
Honestly.
So it's something to
And
it.
one Zack point.
You've
Oh,
seen
you're going to
Duck-
get
I have
yourself
watched
a point.
DuckTales.
the
Okay.
original, not the reboot.
The original and the reboot, but the original.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right, Casey.
So I also had a lot of toys from this cartoon. And I remember my mom would go to like a craft night when a lot of other moms in the neighborhood would get together and make crafts. And they're all getting together to make a Barbie tent. So my mom went and bought some camouflage material and made me a tent for all my G.I. Joes.
Hey, first match of the day.
Dang it.
So yeah, you covered almost everything that I was going to mention, but there is one thing. Season 2 is my favorite G.I. Joe storyline in which...
There are storylines?
Oh yeah, like they'd go over multiple
They
episodes.
had like multi-episode
Really?
arcs, and it was
Yeah.
like, wow, that's a lot of.
So in season 2, Cobra, the organization, wanted to create, using DNA, like a new emperor.
That's right,
So they stole DNA from like Julius Caesar, Attila the Hun, and Napoleon.
Yep.
And created Serpentor.
Rise of Serpentor.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
a four-parter.
The Rise of Serpentor.
Yep.
So that was by far my favorite storyline that they ever did on G.I. Joe.
Did they break into their sarcophagi? Was that
Oh,
what they
yeah,
did?
yeah. And
Oh,
every
yeah.
time the Joes were trying to stop them, but somehow Cobra would always get the DNA.
Yep.
So then they'd be like, well, now they're going to attack Napoleon. So then they'd go try to stop that one. They'd always get
Because there's
it.
just evil DNA.
Well, we didn't really
Except
talk
for-
about it when I was talking about it, but Cobra Commander, this whiny kind of bad guy,
Yeah.
kind of a weak leader, and they wanted a better leader, and they bring up Serpentor to kind of usurp his power, and it was a kind of a cool power struggle, and that's when they had the movie come out of G.I. Joe, which they were going to release it in theaters, but because Transformers the movie performed so poorly, they're just like, no.
Yeah.
But then they released a DVD, but that's the one where it got violent, and Serpentor like stabs a dude with a snake staff.
Yeah,
It's-
you seem pretty messed up by this.
yeah, but I was going to say one of the reasons I like this too, and it's because of the bad guys and the good guys. Like you love Duke and you love Scarlet, and then you hate Serpentor and you hate Cobra Commander and you hate Destro. It's just a great dynamic there. I agree with Casey's choice, is what I'm saying.
Well, you already chose it.
You already chose it. It makes
Yeah,
sense.
Yeah. And we should clarify too, Zach is abstaining from playing on this one.
As I was not even a participant in the decade.
He was not 50% of the 80s.
I have only got one Zack point so far. Next is biggest crush. Well, Kent, please start. Who's your biggest crush?
So I've always
And
liked.
was they animated?
Was they animated?
Bad.
Yes, they was.
That was bad.
Word, they was.
As I mentioned, Lady J, Scarlet, fan favorites.
Yes.
Yes.
Big fan. There are so many people that have crushes on at this era, right? I was just,
Formative years.
figuring out, I'm like, hey, is it going to be, and I don't want to steal your guys's, but is it Punky Brewster? Is it Nicole Eggert from Charles in Charge? Alyssa Milano from Who's the Boss? Who do I pick, right?
A lot of crush materials there.
But I've always liked older women.
Uh-oh.
And Aaron Gray is my crush.
I thought you were going to say B. Arthur.
Much
Older women.
Older women.
Estelle Getty.
Not Aaron Gray.
Aaron Gray, Zach doesn't know who Aaron Gray is, so I'm going to describe
She's
it.
beautiful.
She was first seen, and this is also like kind of before my time. So there's a show that ran from 1979 to 1981. It was just 2 seasons, and it's Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
Yeah.
Beady, 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 beady.
That's the robot.
Yeah, and that's not Aaron Gray.
That's not Kent making noises. He's a tractor.
That's when I was a kid and I saw Aaron Gray. I went,
Beady,
beady, beady, beady, beady, beady, beady. That's so weird. What does that mean?
I don't know.
But Aaron Gray is so incredibly gorgeous and headstrong and dynamic in this show, and I loved her. And Buck Rogers is not a very good sci-fi show, but I still enjoyed watching her.
It made a pop culture impact.
Yeah, and I don't want to take another one, but she was in another popular sitcom at the time that it's called Silver Spoons.
Yeah.
So she made a big impact on me in the 80s. And that was 2 seasons, 37 episodes.
But you knew her primarily from Buck Rogers?
Yeah, Buck Rogers.
Oh.
Well, I rediscovered her probably in my late teens. I think when I got a little more curious and I said, I'm going to rewatch Buck Rogers. And there you have Aaron Gray running around in a spandex jumpsuit. And I didn't
Well,
hate
we
it.
don't need to get specific. Stop! Family friendly.
Oh, really? It's just a
Apparently that
robot noise. All right, Casey, who do you have?
Well, the character's name is Jamie Powell.
Yeah.
You mentioned her. It is
Yes.
Nicole Eggert from Charles in Charge.
Oh, my heck.
Charles in Charge.
And she was a replacement character, right? She wasn't in the original.
Well, so the original Charles in Charge, in case you're not familiar with it, it's Charles, a college student.
There's a new boy in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Lives downstairs.
That.
Yeah, it's
He's there to
understood.
take care of. Yeah. We're all familiar with
We're
it.
all familiar with the theme song. Zach,
But
you know
the-
the theme song? Sing along, Zach.
Hi, Charles in Charge.
That's exactly right.
Ancient Lamentations, baby.
The very first season of Charles in Charge, it was an entirely different family named the Pembrokes.
Much like a lot of sitcoms. They're trying to find their legs, I think.
Yeah, and so like once it actually got picked up, or I think there was some sort of issues where they weren't sure it was going to come back. A lot of those actors left. So when they did come back for the second season, they came back with the Powell
Mr.
family,
Powell. Yeah.
which had 2 daughters, the oldest being Jamie Powell, played by Nicole Eggert,
Beady, 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 beady.
who went on to later be
Inappropriate
on
robot noises.
Baywatch.
Beady, 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 beady. She is sensational.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And pretty young, but I was also kind of young at that time, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's the thing. Like these
for
crushes.
a 45-year-old person to now have a crush on her,
that
would
would
be
be
kind of
weird.
odd.
But
yeah.
back in the day, I mean, if Kent can crush on older women, then you can.
Yeah.
You can remember when you were younger.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Here's my issue with this entire episode so far.
All right.
Is that even though Casey matched with Kent on every single answer during the quiz. I don't know what's happening here, guys, but this was my pick.
Is it? Casey Long, Zack.
The neighborhood lives downstairs and it's understood.
Go down the stairs.
No, I also
Go down the stairs.
Here's the thing. This is the problem, is that when you guys said, hey, 80s crush, I was like, Kelly Kapowski. No question, Kelly Kapowski. And then I found out Saved by the Bell started in 89, and it's technically more 90s show.
And no Winnie Cooper?
Winnie Cooper definitely had a crush on her, but when I thought immediately, my first thought was like, Kelly Kapowski. Oh, not Kelly? Well, it's got to be Jimmy Powell.
Yeah.
It's got to be Nicole Eggert.
She's amazing.
Wonder Years doesn't fit my criteria either. Because I
Okay.
would have maybe gone with Winnie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you said already, it's funny how like I was trying to keep quiet because I didn't want to expose my answer too early. But it's the weirdest thing how the first season happened. Then they actually canceled the show, and then they found out, oh, these syndication shows that we've been doing of previously canceled shows are doing great. Let's bring Charles in Charge back, and a lot of the family couldn't come back. So then they just kind of write that it's like, oh, Charles went off to he went to New Brunswick for summer vacation. He came back, and there's a different family living in the house because the previous
What?
family is subletting the house to this new family, and part of their contract stipulates no, you still get Charles as a housekeeper.
That's so weird.
It's the weirdest kind of hand
80
waving.
sitcoms, whatever.
Yeah, it's like whatever. But Nicole Eggert is. I mean, I just had a huge crush on her back in the day, and I didn't even watch Charles in Charge that much. But I remember when I watched it, I was like, I didn't think of her as Jamie Powell. I thought of her as Nicole Eggert. Like the actress is who I was attracted to more so than the character. But I definitely had to pick her for this one.
Zach, you still only have 1 point.
I goose egg. No Zach points on that
Nope.
one. You guys need to have different answers. Casey and
Sorry?
Joel.
I know.
So I have
It's basically two
more of
people
a
are
chance
playing
to
right
get a
now.
Zach point here. All right. Next up, we have character I wish was my best friend. Casey, go ahead and start.
So the character's name is Gordon Shumway.
Oh, hey.
You know that? You know that?
No.
Oh, come on. Also known as,
Zach-
how if I say what he's more commonly known as, which is Alf.
Do you know Alf?
Hey,
Hey, he eats cats.
that's right.
there you
That's
go.
right,
Yeah,
Zach.
That's all I
right.
know.
But have you seen an episode of Alf?
Did he have a talk show?
Yeah, kinda.
Okay. Nope.
He's from the Planet Melmac, right? Casey, why would you want Alf, who is so incredibly annoying, to be your best friend? Why?
Okay, first off, could you get a more unique friend than Alf?
An alien, sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's an
For
alien.
Because
He
alien
can-
stood for Alf stood for alien life form.
Yeah.
But his real name is Gordon Shumway, which
Yeah,
I think is
from
hilarious.
Melmac. He crashes into the garage of the Tanner family. They,
From Full House?
Spinoff.
different one.
Oh.
And, they take him in. He's funny. He's sarcastic. He could tell you stories about Melmac. He could tell you about space travel. These are all things that would be interesting to learn about.
How did that show go on for multiple seasons? I don't understand.
It's the 80s, man.
It's so weird, right?
Yeah.
What's interesting is it ends on a cliffhanger and it
Yeah.
didn't get renewed.
It's like
Because-
Dinosaurs, where it's kind of like a dark ending, right?
Yeah.
Well,
And so
Dinosaurs
eventually
had a
they
dark
did a
ending.
movie later to kind of try to wrap it up.
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever saw
Project Alf.
that. Isn't that the one with Matthew Broderick and the monkeys? It's Project X.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So
That's
for,
a good choice.
So for me, we did not match on this one. I think Alf would be slightly annoying as a friend, but I understand your reasons why. However, Kent kind of already stole my thunder on this one, and that's fine because my dream best friend as a kid would be Ricky Stratton
Yo, this song
from Silver
slaps.
Spoons. You know it?
No.
Hey, Joel,
Never even heard of Silver
can we share this best friend? Because this is also my choice.
It is?
Yeah, absolutely
I'm
it
matching
is.
with everyone. Why can't I be my own person?
You just can't. There's 3 words why this kid is going to be our best friend. It's because we'd use him for his indoor train track.
The model train. Yes. So Silver Spoons, if you don't know, Ricky Stratton, played by Rick Schroeder, is a spoiled rich kid who lives the life that many kids dream of, but he still suffers from the problems that many teens do, which is kind of a terrible description.
Yeah.
The real version is his dad is this millionaire playboy who has so much money he doesn't know what to do with, and he gets this estranged son, comes, visits him, and then they kind of help each other out. But the house, Kent.
Yeah.
The house.
Unbelievable.
It is like there's video games everywhere. There's foosball tables. They live in this mansion with butlers, and it's kind of like Richie Rich.
Yeah.
But not as zany.
And he's not a spoiled kid. I mean, he's spoiled obviously monetarily, but
Yes.
he actually has a good heart.
He's down to earth to start
Yes.
with. He's the one who helps his dad. His dad is
Right.
kind of crazy out there,
Yeah.
rich kid. and who's Silver Spoon his whole life. That's kind of where the thing comes from. But then he kind of brings him back down. Supporting cast, you already mentioned Aaron Gray is in this one as his personal assistant. And then Jason Bateman was in it
for the
for
first
a while,
couple seasons.
until he got replaced by Alfonso Ribeiro.
Right?
So
Those are the seasons I remember more.
Yeah, I do
Carlton.
too. Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, Zack.
Hey.
Yeah, it doesn't count as a point, though.
Oh.
But this was from 1982 to 1987, 5 seasons, 116 episodes on NBC. I tried to find where to watch these now because like when we talk about these shows on Baconsale, I'd like for the listener to be able to go out and find them themselves. But the problem is a lot of these, it's like you have to pay for them on Amazon Prime, or this one's YouTube as well. You have to do paid there. You can find clips here and there. I think there's like, some episodes on YouTube you can just find, but they're come and go. But it was a fun show.
It's funny that you wouldn't choose to be this character,
I want him as my friend.
but you want him as your friend, because I think we all had those childhood friends where we'd be like, hey, Mom, can I go sleep over at Ricky's house?
They got a
He's
Super Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to have a sleepover and eat snacks all night long and
Yeah.
drink Jolt.
But that train, every time
yeah.
they had train tracks around the house, and they had this scale model freight train that just ran through it. And every time I was like, I want that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish Ricky was my
Great
best friend.
choice, Joel.
You as well, Ken.
Thank you.
I got to stop matching with someone at this table.
Now we have the family that you'd want to be a part of. Joel.
So this is, with the one we're just like, hey, we're friends with Ricky. But
Yeah.
this is like, you want to be with these people
Yeah, it's a
24/7.
good foundation.
And if I'm going to be with someone 24/7, I want to make sure that the theme song brings me joy.
Show me that smile.
Don't waste another minute on your crying. I would like to be part of the Seavers from Growing Pains. The misadventures of a family with a home business father and a journalist mother. And that's kind of a dumb description because
Yeah,
the dad,
pretty basic.
he's a psychologist or psychiatrist, I can't remember which. He lives at home and does his practice there while the mom goes off to work after 15 years. This stars Alan Thicke, Joanna Kearns, Kirk Cameron, Tracy Gold, Jeremy Miller, and eventually Leonardo DiCaprio. So,
And a very young Ashley Johnson, who was in the video game of The Last of Us.
That
Yeah,
is
that's true.
actually true. I jumped over her because Chrissy came in to like be the cute new kid as the kids grew up.
Yeah.
And then
They aged her, like, 5 years
Yeah,
immediately.
she aged real fast.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, we need another one. So they brought in Leonardo DiCaprio in season 7 to be he was a homeless kid that came to live
That's
with them.
true, right? Yeah.
And it was to appeal to the teenage audiences, a teenage girl audience, but it didn't really work too much. This went from 85 to 92, 7 seasons, 166 episodes on ABC. And the reason I think I chose it is because a lot of these families in the 80s, there was...
There's always dysfunction, obviously.
yes, well, okay, for example, this may be one of your picks, and I apologize if it is, but the Family Ties family,
Yeah.
the whole thing is like the parents are hippies, and the
Right.
son's a yuppie, and the contention there. And I was like, no, but the Seavers seem like they really had it together. Alan Thicke is kind of, I think, the father everyone wanted to have.
Yeah.
Even though Kirk Cameron was, or his character, I should say, what was it? Mike Seaver. Mike Seaver was a little bit weird, and Tracy, I keep saying their actual names, Carol was a little bit weird, but they still felt like a real family to me and a loving family. And I mean, there's weird stuff that happens behind the scenes on this show, but
Yeah, that's true.
in the show, I'd be part of the Seavers family.
Joel, it's a good choice. It's actually a great choice, and it's why I also chose it.
No!
I'm so sorry.
Do I get 2 Zach points then?
Wait, you've seen episodes of Growing
I've
Pains?
seen probably the entire series.
What?
This replayed on the Disney Channel in the late 90s.
Wow. You get
And
my point still.
I have watched, seriously, probably almost every single episode.
That's probably more
Growing
than I've
Pains.
seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Joel, the Seavers is the best choice because, like you said, there are a lot of other families, but I feel like what they did here is they showed the dysfunction, right? And they kind of turned a lot of family tropes on its head where Joanna, she went to work after 15 years of being with the kids. And then Jason Seaver, the dad, stayed home to be a shrink
You mean
at
Maggie.
home.
You mean Maggie.
That's what I meant. The
there's a
actress's name.
Yeah, character is Maggie.
And so as the dad staying home and the mom went to work, but somehow these parents were so supportive of their like punk kids.
They were punks, all of them at one time.
Yeah, and really there was like a story arc completed in almost every one of the 20 minutes that wasn't as sappy as things we got later with like TGIF and everything. So I think the Seavers really pulled it off. This is easily the best family of the 80s.
And one of the best theme songs we already talked about.
Yes.
Well, Joel already told me that I was wrong, but I'm going with the Keatons from
Okay.
Family Ties.
Good.
Sha-la-la-la.
This is it chronicles, like you said, liberal ex-hippies, Stephen and Elise. They have Michael J. Fox, which this is what kind of starts Michael J. Fox's career
yeah.
off. He's a conservative Republican. Also, the sister Mallory and
Another
Jennifer.
crush.
Yeah, Justine
Bateman.
Yeah, and then later they also had, just like the Seavers, they also had a kid to try to bring in the cute kid at the end.
Yeah,
Andrew. So, but I like him because I quite think I'd like those parents. I would enjoy the ex-hippie liberal parents.
But sometimes they were crazy about it. Like that was the comedy came from that they'd say and do things where it's like, I remember the one with the episode with the power bill when he makes him turn off the lights like the whole day.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
The show is sold to the network as hip parents, square kids.
I kind of love that.
But the main reason why is, first off, Alex Keaton, who's Michael J. Fox, he dated Courtney Cox on the show for a while, whatever her character's name was on the show. But then also, my uncle would be Uncle Ned, played by Tom Hanks, who is an alcoholic. And is the reason why I know that apparently vanilla has alcohol in it, because they found him sucking down a bottle of vanilla.
Was that one of those after-school special
extract,
episodes?
Yeah, vanilla extract.
That's funny.
No, that's the thing. Doesn't all the 80s sitcoms, all these funny sitcoms, they always have a very special episode.
Oh, man.
This is the one we're going to talk about.
But did you not learn a lot from them?
I did. Never hide in a fridge.
Good call.
Monkey reference.
And drink vanilla extract.
Yeah,
if you
don't do that.
want to
Don't
have a
drink
good
vanilla
time.
extract, kids.
I have to apologize. I haven't seen Family Ties. It was on Nick at Night or something. And
Sure.
I never
Sha-la-la-la.
never got into it. So do I get 2 points on that one then?
If you've never seen it?
No, I mean like for the Seavers.
No, one.
No, it's
Just one?
Sorry.
Nice try.
Dang. All right. Then next category is TV show I was way too young to watch.
Resplendent with authentic 1980s music, fashion, and vibe, Miami Vice follows two undercover detectives and their extended team through the mean streets of Miami.
That's a fantastic theme song, too.
It really is. Miami Vice is way too serious for anyone to be watching at that time.
But it seemed like it was like all kids were watching it.
But why? The whole thing is about, so it's these two detectives, and they're trying to bust and kill drug traffickers. The entire
they wore
show.
pastels.
Yeah, they sure did, in a lot of cool shades. And, you know, this is Crockett and Tubbs. And this show, like, the episodes I remember about this show is
Tubbs.
like, yeah, right? Is there, like, family members being held hostage or girlfriends dying, being shot by these drug lords. And I just remember, like, being really sad watching this show, but going, this is so cool. I think because I know I wasn't supposed to watch it.
Yeah, but here's also the thing you need to realize, listener, is that 80s crime dramas are much tamer than crime dramas of today. Like the Miami Vice, still, it would probably get like a TV PG rating. I almost feel.
So, parents' guide for this show. One of the main characters is shot during a shootout, is placed in a life or death situation. May frighten the smallest of children, which is me. Multiple characters are shown dead from gunshot wounds, not presented in a graphic way.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of implied violence, implied drug usage.
Yeah.
But it felt heavy.
Yeah, it was like
Very lived in.
Yeah.
And it was just, you know, this grimy lifestyles all around. So I shouldn't have watched this show. My parents probably wouldn't have approved, but I still did.
What about you, Casey?
So my parents were also watching this in the background while I just got to be a little kid sitting on the couch and also watch it. And that is Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
So this ran from 1978 to 1991, 356 episodes. It's J.R. Ewing, a Texas oil baron, uses manipulation and blackmail to achieve his ambitions, both business and personal. He often comes into conflict with his brother Bobby, his archenemy Cliff Barnes, and his long-suffering wife Sue Ellen.
And I've heard that this is like because I've never really watched a full episode of Dallas, but from what I gathered in clips and viewing, it's basically, to put it in terms of today, it's like a Yellowstone or a Succession, but like more soap opera-y almost.
Yeah, definitely a nighttime soap opera.
As a kid, did you get into those stories? Did you hate certain characters?
Did you wonder who shot JR?
So that one's a little bit probably too early for me to quite remember.
Okay.
There's two big seasons. So the end of the 1979-1980 season, someone shot JR. And
If you've ever seen the Who Shot Mr. Burns episode of Simpsons, that's
Which is a very good reference at this point.
direct
Direct
parody
reference.
of Dallas.
yeah, so you had to wait all season long. Like the season ended with the cliffhanger, Who Shot JR. Everyone had to wait until the beginning of the next season to find out who did shoot JR. I don't remember that one, but I do remember the second most kind of famous Dallas season. And that is when Patrick Duffy, who played Bobby Ewing, decided to leave the show. So they had him get in a car accident, killed him off. And then an entire season happens. And at the end of the season after he died, his wife wakes up to find Bobby in the shower, taking a shower. And so then that's the cliffhanger. You had to wait all season, in between seasons to find out how Bobby survived, only to find out that it was a dream. The entire season was a dream.
They pulled the dream excuse.
But the entire season, we're talking about 30 episodes of a show, was a dream.
Why do
including
that?
there's like these side stories that had nothing to do with Bobby's wife. She's for some reason dreaming about that.
Yeah.
So dumb.
And I do remember seeing actually him in the shower and being like, well, how is he still alive?
Yeah.
And being excited to find out how they're going to, write him into this, being able to still live.
Even as a kid, you're like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. How dare they?
Joel, what about you?
Well, as a kid, there's certain places you hang out. You hang out at your friend's house. You hang out on the playground.
Sure.
You hang out at school. I'll tell you one place I didn't hang out as a kid. A bar.
You didn't go to a bar.
I didn't go hang out in a bar because I'm choosing Cheers as my choice here.
All right.
Now, Cheers, having watched it, I remember watching it as a kid, and certain storylines I may have picked up on. Watching it as an adult, I went, how was I watching this as a kid?
Because you didn't understand.
First of all, the whole show takes place in a bar the entire time. I was not a heavy drinker as a kid. But
Sippy
also,
cups.
Sam Malone, played by Ted Danson, who plays Sam Malone, he's a womanizer. He's an ex-pitcher for the Boston Red Sox, or he's a relief pitcher, I guess. I should clarify, he's a relief pitcher, Zach.
Yeah, thank you. Come on, get it right.
But you have an amazing cast here of comedy, but a lot of the humor revolves around Sam trying to womanize.
Yeah.
And a lot of jokes in there I was watching like, wow, I did not pick up on that as a kid. I didn't really understand that as a kid. This one may be one of the longest running ones I'm talking about because it ran from 1982 to 1993, 11 seasons, 275 episodes. And this is one you can find on Prime Video, on Peacock, Freevee. If you watch Freevee, it's like IMDb TV, but it's free.
Okay.
A lot of channels you can watch there. And this was a ratings juggernaut. This went really big, and the finale was one of the most viewed finales ever. It won a ton of Emmys and other awards. It really is an amazing, I shouldn't say amazing comedy because it is definitely set up punchline.
Sure.
A lot of insult comedy, very much of the time.
It created a lot of tropes, though, at the same time. Like,
yeah. Because the characters really are what make it.
Right.
And that made me happy. In fact, I did a meme a while back about how I suddenly realized in regard to the 7 deadly sins, like Sam Malone is lust, Carla Terry is rage or anger, and just kind of went through all the different ones of like,
oh, that's great.
Like all the different ones, they all fit. They were the 7 deadly sins, were the 7 main characters of the show. They also managed to swap out members of the cast and keep going, which is an impressive feat for a sitcom.
Do you feel like you would have got in trouble if your parents knew you were watching this? Or they just didn't know what the show was about either?
I think it's just, it's weird because it's set in a bar, but they also were kind of responsible about it. Like Sam doesn't drink.
Right.
They never showed anyone trying to drive home drunk. They always called cabs.
Yeah.
And they had episodes about alcoholism. Probably Cheers was maybe a little too young for me to watch as a kid when, 1982, I was, Zach's age.
Currently.
I watched Cheers as a kid.
Hey,
as well.
Zack!
I did. And looking back, it's like, why?
Yeah.
But hey, it was great.
Yeah.
I've probably seen every episode thanks to Nick at Night. Now we have most annoying character. So not Cliff Clavin.
Well, he's not that annoying when you really understand deep inside who he is.
All right. So I went with a character who technically her name stands for Voice Input Child Identicant.
How dare you?
Vicky.
Come on.
from Small Wonder.
Annoying? She's
Jamie's
a
more
robot.
annoying than Vicky.
Well, only when he sings Landslide.
And I'll tell you why she's annoying, though. She's annoying because she had superpowers whenever it was convenient to fit the plot of whichever storyline was going on.
We
in
should
that
clarify
episode.
what the plot of this story is.
Oh, yeah, right.
And that it's Small Wonder.
Yeah.
Right. So Small Wonder, which is the zany adventures of a suburban family, their next door neighbors, and an innovative robot designed to look like a human child.
Yes.
Basically, it's a family. The dad made a robot that looks exactly like a girl.
That's
And
always
she
dressed
is.
like a maid.
She's always dressed like a maid, and the only thing they did was just put a panel on her back. That was what made her a robot.
And there's a close second for annoying character that's also in this show, the neighbor girl.
Yep.
Harriet. She was super annoying.
I forgot about her, but you're right.
Oh,
I can
just
see her little
awful.
scrunchy face in my mind right now.
She had a crush on the son, Jamie, and was always over.
Who is not Billy Corgan, we should
No.
clarify.
Come on.
But something interesting, Seth Green actually auditioned for that role.
Did he?
Vicky?
No, for the.
Of Jamie.
But Candace Cameron auditioned for Vicky.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so, like I was saying, she always talked in a monotone voice, which I get it. She's a robot. But it was still kind of annoying. But she could do things like elongate her neck to look into a second-story window.
Mm-hmm. The effects were super awesome, too.
Shrink to the size of a doll.
That's what robots
Make herself 10 feet tall. Jumpstart a car with her bare hands, and once saved a person with her bare hands, like a defibrillator. Yep. And she could move and do things in super speed.
I remember in the opening credits, there's like a shot of her just holding up a couch with one hand and vacuuming under it.
Yeah.
How is this annoying, Casey?
It wasn't realistic.
And her voice was annoying?
Her voice was annoying. As the actor started to grow, then they had to make this growth chip that the dad made to put into her to explain why she was growing.
I love the 80s.
So just the fact that I just did not find Vicky realistic is why I find her annoying.
Okay, I get it.
What about you, Joel?
So we've talked about how a lot of times in TV shows, they'll bring in the younger character once the cast starts aging out. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it's Cousin Oliver. That's older than the 80s. Yeah. I don't think you're going to recognize this theme song per se, because I think this series only ran for one season, but it did introduce this character, and if you hear his voice, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Anybody see it?
No.
Uncle Scooby? Hi, I'm
Scrappy.
Was he
Doo.
introduced in the 80s?
1979.
Okay.
He was introduced. In fact, I think they may have started ending him just before that, but
Was it a pup named Scooby-Doo? Is that the show he was in, or was it
no, the
just
pup named Scooby-Doo was the younger version of Scooby.
Okay.
Scrappy-Doo literally came in because, I mean, Scooby-Doo cartoon's been going a while at this point. The ratings were starting to slump a bit, and so they's like, we need to put a punch in the arm of this thing. They're like, hey, what about a wisecracking younger version of Scooby-Doo called Scrappy-Doo? And I absolutely hate Scrappy-Doo. He did appear in a bunch of different incarnations of the Scooby-Doo series, and even the live-action movie.
Yeah, that was clever.
But this one ran one episode, or one season, 16 episodes, and then they had him in other ones. But he's annoying. Honestly, I hated it because everyone loves Scooby-Doo. He's this goofy, lovable character, but then Scrappy comes and he's like, look how cool I am. I'm awesome. I'm going to ride a skateboard. And it's just like, they're trying so hard to make him hip and
he's
relatable.
Poochie.
Oh, he's
Before
totally
there was
Poochie.
Poochie, yep.
He's totally Poochie. So yeah, Scrappy-Doo, go away. I hate you.
Harsh.
Yeah.
Kent?
So I went with the main character that headlined this show, and I hated this show, and I watched way too many episodes. And it's Mama Thelma Harper from Mama's Family. This one went from 1983 to 1990. Way too many seasons.
Who played her again?
Vicki Lawrence.
That's right. So you guys both hate Vickies.
Yeah, definitely. Mama's Family originated with Thelma, Mama, Harper, and her younger sister Fran living together in Mama's house. So basically, you have Mama, who is just really just ornery all of the time.
Well, it's Vicki Lawrence wearing a wig to make her look like an old person.
And by the way, she's 33 when she does this show. And her kids, so she lives with her kids.
Yeah.
Or they live with her, and they're all horrible people, selfish people, and just buffoons.
But this was a character based on her time in the Carol Burnett show,
yeah,
right?
Carol Burnett actually convinced her to play this role, and it became a show for 7 seasons. And I think her voice is so nasally, nails on a chalkboard for me.
It's like this, come talk.
And all she does is mock her children all the time. And it's just one-liners. Her kids will say something. And by the way, her kids are 50 or 60. And it's funny that the actors were 50 or 60, and she was in her 30s playing the mom. And that's kind of clever. But they would say something, and she would just rip on them the entire time. But I'm like, Mama, the reason they are the way they are is because of you. And so
I learned it by watching you.
harsh.
Right? I hated Vicki Lawrence in this role. And
She's funny. I think Vicki Lawrence is funny, but I do agree.
Did you ever watch the show?
I did. I didn't like the character.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on this.
Interesting about Vicki Lawrence is she had a #1 hit with the song
The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia.
Yeah.
That's her?
Yeah.
At the night that the lights went out in Georgia. Zach, do you have any concept of Mama's Family?
Nope.
Okay.
Never
But
heard
Carol
of it.
Burnett?
What about Carol Burnett show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I've never heard of Mom's Family.
Okay. I hope you never do.
So 0 Zach points. Now we have most overrated show.
Oh.
This is you're gonna make some people mad.
Oh, I'm going to make a lot of people mad with this one, but I hate to say it, it's true.
I'm one of those people. I'm mad. I'm really mad.
So
I get a point here, and I'm mad about it.
this is the theme song for The Golden Girls. When Betty White passed away not too long ago, I said, you know what? In tribute to Betty, I'm finally going to start watching Golden Girls. I've never seen a full episode of my life. I'm going to watch it.
Okay.
And so I watched the entire series in about a calendar year. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of, at first I was like, trying to pay attention, but eventually it became kind of a background show because it's the exact same plots over and over again.
Sure.
It's the exact same setup punchline over and over again.
But their dynamic is so good.
Rose is going to be dumb. Dorothy's going to make fun of her. Blanche is going to talk about men. Estelle Getty's going to say something inappropriate. Mm-hmm. And then they have a laugh track. And that's every single episode, every single time. Don't get me wrong. I did like the show.
Yeah.
I liked it. But it definitely was not the, wow, one of the greatest all-time sitcoms ever.
Do you feel like
me.
it's like post-ironic classic at this point?
Maybe because
people revere it decades after it came out.
Yes. I mean, this ran from 85 to 92 and 7 seasons, 180 episodes. And it got critical acclaim back in the day. Several awards, including Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Comedies, Golden Globes. All 4 stars got an Emmy, making it one of the there's 4 sitcoms that have ever done that where all the main cast have got it. And top of the Nielsen ratings. And then the international versions. There were spin-offs of this in like Russia and the Netherlands. But it really was one of those shows that I kept watching and going, wow, this is pretty standard sitcom fare.
But you did watch the entire series.
I watched the entire series.
What's wrong with
And by the
that?
end, there are a couple things. I really enjoyed Estelle Getty. She was hilarious.
Yeah, she's great.
Sophia, the mom, the older mom in the show. Because I didn't even talk about what the show is about, if you don't know. 4 previously married women live together in Miami, sharing their various experiences together and enjoying themselves despite hard times. B. Arthur, Betty White, Rue McClanahan, Estelle Getty.
Ma.
That sounded like every one of those Raymond.
That's Raymond. Ma.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen them in the same room?
Deborah.
Different show altogether.
Raymond.
But like I said, I thought Estelle Getty was great.
Wrong
I
decade.
actually liked Betty White as Rose. I thought they were too mean to Rose. I kept being like, lay off on Rose.
Yeah, it's true.
Because as soon as she started on one of her stories about her time,
And Rue McClanahan.
Rue McClanahan, I mean, she had her moments too. But overall, I kind of went, that's kind of overrated.
I liked Rue McClanahan.
McClanahan. She's not Sarah McLachlan.
All right, Kent, let's move on
Is
from
this,
that.
is this overrated?
Yeah. What?
When your world looks kind of weird and you wish that you weren't there.
What?
Muppet Babies is so
My turn to be
overrated.
mad.
Yeah, I know. This ran from 1984 to 1991. This is a spin-off of a scene that was in Muppet Caper, the Great Muppet Caper.
No. It was in the Muppets Take Manhattan.
Same thing.
No, it's not.
We did a full show on this.
Stop bashing the Muppets!
The Muppets, as babies, have adventures with their imaginations inside their nursery. This one, 8 seasons, 107 episodes.
I'm not mad. Can I just pity you for not having an imagination?
Listen, I like quality of cartoons. This was such a gimme that was just and it's, as a kid, you do get to see references to movies that you haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, a Goodfellas reference in Muppet Babies?
Loved it.
What's happening? This won 4 consecutive Daytime Emmys for Outstanding Animated Program.
Deservedly.
This one ties with the Friends portion of Garfield and Friends as far as entertainment value.
How dare you?
Where I was like,
and that's 90s.
yeah. I was just like, this show again?
We've talked about this before about how you don't like Muppet Babies, but I keep forgetting it because I keep wanting to like you, so I push this out of my head.
I do this just to kind of disturb you a little bit more
Dare
and
you.
make you like me
How
less.
dare you.
Like Kermit owns a toothbrush. He doesn't even have any teeth. He's a frog. He brushes his tongue, though. 1 out of 3 found that interesting. Muppet Babies is the worst. Casey?
No, it's not the worst.
All right, I went with a show that was just recently, I think this year, rebooted, and that is Night Court.
You think it's in the process of being
Okay.
rebooted?
I think it's already been aired.
Or has it
I think
come
it
out?
has.
I think it's on,
episodes
like-
have aired.
Yeah, Peacock or something like that. But,
Yeah.
story is an eccentric, fun-loving judge presides over an urban night court and all the silliness going on there. Starring Harry Anderson, John Larroquette, Richard Mull, and Marky Post.
Yeah.
Joel, are we upset about this one?
Bull's the only person I kind of liked. The rest of them, I did not find
do
them
like
funny.
this show. I'm not as offended as I was at yours, but I do like Night Court.
Yeah,
but
me
I
too.
understand why you may think it's overrated.
It was nominated for several Emmys, and John Larroquette won for Outstanding Supporting Actor 4 years in a row.
9 seasons of
It
this
was so
show.
dry as a comedy, right?
And I just never found it funny. I mean, maybe I've not returned as an adult back to it to see if it's funny now. I think my problem too was it came on after Cheers. And I liked Cheers. So you'd be coming off this high of watching Cheers, and then all of a sudden, the music for Night Court would start.
Just making noises.
I would
If
turn
you
the
guys would have
channel
brought
immediately.
clips. I didn't tell you guys to.
So yeah, I don't think I've maybe seen more than a handful of episodes, but I never found the ones I did funny.
It is seen as one of the best 80s sitcoms, but for that reason, it's overrated.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and it really is. It really is kind of the same basic premise as Cheers in the sense of it's a singular location, the courtroom. You got the womanizer, you got the angry person, you got the. I mean, Harry Anderson. There was really no magician in Cheers, but that fun-loving type character. But you had these stock characters in a single location where you could have different people coming in and out of it. So I liked it, but I understand.
Me too.
I'm not upset.
Finally.
I am familiar with Night Court, but I've never seen any of it. But so I get 2 points
Oh, from that last round?
from the last round.
Okay.
I've seen Muppet Babies and I've seen Golden Girls.
Are we right on any of them? Who's more right?
I like Golden Girls more ironically than I actually like it, but I don't mind that it's common sitcom fare, and you are right about Muppet Babies.
Stop.
It is not that good.
Baconsale approved.
So good.
Now let's talk about underrated shows. Kent, you are first.
I don't know if this is underrated. I just feel like it is, and it's Head of the Class. This one from 1986 to 1991.
yeah.
Is it underrated? Because
Well,
people kind of forget about it?
I have forgotten about it.
Okay. So the premise is a laid-back teacher provides needed guidance about life for a special class of exceptional students. And the whole premise is like you have this actor who becomes a substitute teacher for all these prodigy, the children who are prodigy. They're children, late teenagers. Some of them were 30, by the way, in high school.
That was the way of the 80s. They're like, yeah, they can play a teenager.
Yeah, Howard Hesseman from WKRP in Cincinnati. He was the teacher. He became their full-time teacher.
Cincinnati,
Yeah. And it's one of these, he's going to inspire the kids to go beyond the books and learn about life. I always found it funny. I still remember characters' names. Like, I was kind of looking this up. I'm like, oh, yeah, Dennis, Arvid,
Yeah.
Eric, and it has some, like, Robin Givens, who I kind of loved back in the day. Kei-Hu Kwan, who just won an Oscar, was also in this
Hey.
show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's funny still, but back in the day, I had a fondness for it. And then Billy Connolly took over as the teacher in the last season, I believe. And I was disappointed even back then. And I didn't even know about cast changes and what they meant. But yeah, it went for 5 seasons. And I think it's underappreciated. Would I watch this now? Maybe not. But still, I liked it a lot.
I picked a show that had one of the best theme songs from the 80s.
Okay.
It's not Cheers. It is The Fall Guy.
Well, I'm not the kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with Farrah.
Sung by Lee Majors, who also starred in the show.
Yep.
He played Colt Seavers, and it's the adventures of a film stuntman who moonlights as a bounty hunter when movie work is slow.
Which is a great premise.
Yeah, it's a great premise. A lot of times, like the show would start off with him doing some sort of stunt, for whatever show, swinging from a big rope or whatever. And then
Or
later,
Tarzan from a vine.
and then later he would be chasing some guy and would have to swing from a rope to catch the guy. So it would come
Love
full
it.
circle
Yep.
of seeing the stunt that he performed and then later using it in his bounty hunting. Created by Glenn A. Larson, who also created Battlestar Galactica. Like I said, amazing theme song, which was called The Unknown Stuntman.
Yeah.
Which actually also got some high up in the charts. Something that is interesting, though, that I learned about this when looking into it is in July 2010, there were talks of DreamWorks making a movie based on the show. It was going to star Dwayne Johnson and be directed by Mick G.
Oh, that would have been great.
Boy.
Yeah, luckily that one did not happen.
Yeah.
So then in 2020, a different film more loosely based on the TV series was planned by Universal Pictures, starring Ryan Gosling, along with Emily Blunt. It's going to be directed by
Kenson, Zack's out.
Right?
David Leitch, not Lynch.
Okay.
Leitch.
Wait, it's going to be made or this is 2020? Because he already kind of played a stuntman in Drive.
It's going to be released on March 1st, 2024.
So it's coming out. They're going to do a reboot of The Fall Guy.
I'm in.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I'm in on that too.
Yeah.
So
It's funny because whenever we do most underrated, I almost feel like a hipster pick it sometimes.
Well, you need to.
But it needs to be a hit. It needs to be something people know. I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys know this one, but I'm going to choose it anyway.
Well, I'm not.
That's right. I just matched
Wow.
with Casey again. What is happening? How? Okay, honestly, there were probably only like 10 shows that came out in the entire decade of the 80s. No, there's so many. How do we keep matching, Casey?
It's cute.
It's a great show.
It is, and it ran from 81 to 86, 5 seasons, 113 episodes. You can watch this one on Prime Video. It is available. But Kent, the reason why I think you should watch this. Well,
I don't think
let's
I've
start with
ever
Zach.
seen this show.
Zach, the reason I think you should watch this movie about a stuntman who's a bounty hunter is because he drives a rounded line 1981 GMC K2500 wideside with the Sierra Grand equipment package.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that means.
With an eagle painted on the hood.
Yes.
Wow.
And my friends had that truck, the toy truck, and I thought it was so cool. Kent, for you, the reason I think you should watch this is 2 words: Heather Thomas.
Oh, okay.
As Jodie Banks.
Okay.
I had such a crush on her. She almost made my crush for that answer because she's absolutely beautiful. I love her in the show. I watched an episode of this today where they went and
Beady, 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 beady.
Stop.
I just Googled her. Beady, beady, beady.
Stop! Ew! You make robots sound gross. But I watched an episode today where they went to like a roller derby, and I was like thoroughly entertained by the episode. It really is fun, and it made me want to go back and watch the entire series again.
I think I should watch it.
Yeah, so I will be watching Fall Guy again, and who knows, we may be watching a movie with Ryan Gosling in it pretty soon too.
0 Zack points. Now we have the show you didn't watch, but you think you'd like, which to me is all of them. Casey, what is your answer for this one?
So I've always been a fan of Pierce Brosnan's James Bond.
Oh,
but
Remington
I've never
Steele.
seen Remington Steele.
Yeah.
I watched a few episodes of it.
Remington Steele went from 1982 to 1987. Basically, the plot on this one was there was a female character who wanted to have a private eye agent, her own private eye agency, but she figured out that people would not hire her because she was a female.
They didn't take her seriously.
So she decided to just make up a person that would be technically her boss, named Remington Steele. Then Pierce Brosnan, who's like a former thief, con man, kind of weasels his way into it, and he becomes basically Remington Steele. So the two of them are off solving cases. Apparently there's always romantic tension between them, but I never saw any of it. We all know that Pierce Brosnan was given the James Bond role for The Living Daylights, but then Remington Steele was renewed for one more season.
Yep, got in the way.
So then he did not get to play James Bond at that time. But also at the same time, the female character in Remington Steele was also going to play the female cop in RoboCop.
Yeah.
And she had to not do that as well after it was renewed.
Dang it, Casey. We can't keep picking the same thing. So we didn't pick that on this one. But I did pick someone that looks very, very close to Pierce Brosnan. This is Murder, She Wrote, starring Angela Lansbury.
She's so debonair.
So much. Have you seen her in a tuxedo? So this show, the plot is professional writer and amateur sleuth Jessica Fletcher uses her intellect, charm, and persistence to get to the bottom of every crime she encounters. Starring Angela Lansbury, as I said before, it went from 84 to 96. I counted. That's 50% in the 80s.
I'll allow it.
It works. 12 seasons, 264 episodes, and 4 TV movies. You can watch this one on Peacock and Freevee. But she lives in this place called Cabot Cove, which is a small coastal community in Maine. The problem is, and I think I'd like it because it's like a kind of a murder mystery.
Sure.
I love those kind of shows, like figuring out whodunits. But with Angela Lansbury, who I also really enjoy.
She's delightful.
But the thing about this show is murder occurred with such regularity in her vicinity that the term Cabot Cove Syndrome was coined by real police officers to describe the constant appearance of murders and dead bodies in remote locations. And in fact, if Cabot Cove existed in real life, it would top the FBI's national crime statistics in its numerous categories, and saying it would be above the homicide rate of even the real-life murder capital of the world, which is currently Colima, Mexico.
Wow.
So many murders happened on the series. They're like, wow, what's happening in Cabot Cove?
Murder she did.
Yeah,
Right?
maybe.
She's got to be behind this. To sell books?
Well, she's a writer, and then she's also mystery solver.
Yeah.
There was also a fun crossover episode between this one and Magnum P.I., where the two helped each other out. Angela Lansbury and Tom Selleck working together. And this was like a revolutionary, not revolutionary, but like the crossover happened on both Murder, She Wrote and on Magnum P.I.
A handsome couple.
So, yeah, I ship them. So Murder, She Wrote, I plan on watching it.
All right. And Kent?
It's now the Fall Guy because I'm going to watch that show. I'm the Fall Guy. I swing on vines and catch some bounties.
He talks about how he's the unknown stuntman because he doesn't get the girls.
But my choice is Remington Still.
Oh, so much matchy.
I actually watched Remington Still today. It's on Amazon Prime. And it is definitely an 80s show where it set the precedent for a lot of this man and woman get together. They shouldn't be working together, but they solve crimes.
It's like the Scarecrow and Mrs. King all over again.
Well, that no one really knows what that is, but also another 80s show.
Simon and Simon.
But it still is Pierce Brosnan, and you still have the swagger of Pierce Brosnan in this show, and it's fun to watch.
He does have his accent in this show,
He
right?
does,
Okay,
yeah. And it's, like you said, he's a con man and everything, but because the show is called Remington Steele, every single episode has Steele in the title. And here are just a few examples. Steele hanging in there. Steele among the living. Second base, Steele.
Wow.
Steele sweet on you. And thou shalt not steal.
Yeah.
For that reason, I hate
This
the
is my
show.
favorite title episode, though.
Yeah.
When you're gone.
Thank you for that, Joel.
Zack.
You steal the one.
Little Mamma Mia.
I watched one episode. I'm like, I bet I would have liked this one back in the day. I don't know if I could watch I think it's like 4 to 5 seasons now. But I'd be willing to give it a shot because Pierce Brosnan is that likable. And Stephanie Zimbalist is
she's
female
great.
lead. She's great. So that's my choice.
All right. 0 Zack points that round.
Even for Remington Steele, huh?
I know of it,
Okay.
obviously,
Yeah.
due to the James Bond fandom. I've seen scenes, but I've never properly watched the show. Okay, final category here. The character you wished you could be. Joel?
All right, so the character that I wish I could be... Oh,
Joel,
wait.
I hope we don't match. I hope none of us match on this one.
I think we may.
Yeah, we
because
may.
I just dropped a whole bunch of paper clips on the ground, and I know exactly what to do with them. I'm going to MacGyver them.
You can keep your mullet.
Yeah? You do
this is
one?
not my choice.
Oh, come on. Who doesn't want to be MacGyver?
I don't.
So, MacGyver, if you don't know, the adventures of a secret agent armed with almost infinite scientific resourcefulness. Imagine if Mark Rober on YouTube was also a secret agent.
Okay, that's cool. Is he not?
He may be. Starring Richard Dean Anderson as MacGyver. This ran from 85 to 92, 7 seasons, 139 episodes on ABC. You can watch this one on Prime Video. But this has become a term. MacGyvering something basically means taking random scraps and making a solution out of it. Because he would constantly find himself in these horrible scraps where he'd be like, okay, I got a Swiss Army knife, some duct tape, and some matches. And he's able to create a bomb. It's just amazing what he was able to pull off. And I was like, if I had that know-how, if I had that knowledge, I would be so happy. Because everyday situations, I can't figure out sometimes how to get a screw out of the wall when it's been stripped. MacGyver could.
Yeah, he could.
And
like a gum wrapper.
Yeah. So, and whenever they actually did consult real scientists and physicists to figure out, and engineers to figure out if something could really be done. And they did do real life stuff, but they also said, yeah, I'd have to be really lucky to have this work, but it could work. And whenever they were doing things where they had to do explosives or poisons, they always did it in a way that masked what they were doing to the public, because they didn't want them copying what was happening there. When it was finally canceled near the end of it, because there was some weird stops and starts as it ended.
A lot of these shows, actually.
Yeah. But Richard Dean Anderson, they asked him about the ending, and he just said, the only reason it went off the air is because everybody was ready to move on. He said, I was physically exhausted, and I had no life.
Oh.
So thank you, MacGyver, for your sacrifice. If I could have your know-how, your scientific know-how, I would be a better person.
All right, Joel, you may be a better person, but you have horrible fashion sense, as we established in
With
previous
the mullet
seasons.
of Richard Dean Anderson?
Absolutely. And his jacket, his windbreaker he was wearing.
There's a leather jacket. That was cool. That bomber jacket?
It was lame. Compared to Magnum PI, which is the only right
Okay.
choice. Listen, he had the coolest outfit. I'm not a big fan of Hawaiian shirts, but when you're in Hawaii, those short shorts and those shirts, so cozy, right?
You have to have the stash, too.
All you need is the stash to keep you warm.
And that's a manly sash.
Oh, is it the best stash?
It's on the Mount
wait.
Rushmore.
Save it. Save it for our mustache episode.
Well, I've had lots of this discussion in the barbershop.
Yeah.
It's on the Mount Rushmore.
Ken, I am not going to bash on your choice at all, because I was very close to
Right,
picking
and I think
Magnum PI.
MacGyver's also great.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you say that now. You already hurt my feelings.
Yeah, I know, that's what I do.
But I'm MacGyver, so I repaired them.
And I think Casey also chose Magnum PI as well. Am I wrong?
Well, the character that I wish I could be, first name is Angus. Last name MacGyver.
MacGyver! What?
An upset.
Think about this. You wake up in the morning, your hot water heater's broken. Are you taking a cold shower? No. You're getting your Swiss Army knife out, you're getting duct tape out, and you're fixing it, and you're taking a hot shower.
That's a lot of work.
Not for MacGyver.
Hey, when you live in Hawaii, it's always a hot shower. By the way, because he lives in a millionaire's villa for free. He just does
Well, I was
missions
going
for
to say,
him.
before we move on back
Yeah.
to MacGyver. Well, I was going to say, we can talk about MacGyver.
Well,
a
we
bit.
can just compare.
Yeah.
Mine is I'm now, this is a battle. He's a former Navy SEAL and a Vietnam vet. This was also the first time that was kind of shown on a TV show. So the show had a little bit of depth. Like there was some PTSD here, but there was just fun adventures every week.
Huh, Kent, that's funny. MacGyver served in the U.S. Army Special Forces as a bomb team technician, EOD, during the Vietnam War.
Oh,
Another Vietnam
were
vet.
they in the same unit? I
MacGyver
don't know.
can speak Russian, German, French, Italian, Spanish, and American Sign Language. He can also communicate with international maritime signal flags and knows Morse code.
Yeah, you know what Magnum PI speaks? Seduction.
I was going to say the language of love. What more do you need with that mustache and that hairy chest? My gosh, always tan. And also, this
Very
was
Higgins.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And Higgins was there as well. Tom Selleck almost took the role of Indiana Jones at this time. You remember that?
Yeah.
And the writers, they wanted to make him like the male James Bond. He said, hey, no one's going to like the show if I'm just the James Bond type. Like, let me just be kind of the approachable, charming jock. And so he says, I won't do Indiana Jones if you write Magnum P.I. better.
Which Magnum PI, we should clarify, too. I mean, MacGyver's like a secret agent going around and has to keep getting out of things. Magnum PI, the story, he didn't give a plot.
He's a private investigator in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So,
and he's like works for a millionaire that you never see on the show, but then Higgins might be the millionaire. I really wanted to rewatch Magnum PI too because I mean the theme song alone
It's
and
so
the
good.
car,
Yeah.
that's great. But I think I got to agree with Casey because I did.
well, you do.
yeah.
And as someone that's a little hair challenged, I would love the mullet.
But then the mustache, you just comb that up over too. So
That's quite the comb over.
yes. You can't see anything, but you got.
I'm now picturing that.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, Zach, have you
Professional opinion.
seen either of these?
Nope. I get 0 Zach points on that round. Obviously, you don't go through and be involved in pop culture in any form and not know about these shows.
Sure,
But
yeah.
that doesn't mean I've seen any of them. I
Right.
know what the MacGyvering of stuff is. I know all about how great Tom Selleck mustache is. But I think he drives a red Ferrari in that
Yes,
show
he
as well.
does.
But yeah, I just have never seen them.
MacGyver drives a Jeep, if you wanted to know
Oh,
that.
well, then I'd want to watch it less. So I will say, gentlemen, here's a couple of stats for you as we wind down on this episode. Because you matched so much of the possible 30 options you could have presented, you presented 24.
Wow, which is also a good show, not from the 80s.
Yeah. Joel and Casey, you guys matched up 4 times.
How
out
is
of
that
10.
possible?
40% the same. Joel and Kent,
Fall Guy.
you matched twice, and then Kent and Casey 1 time.
Okay.
As far as Zach points goes, so of the 24 options, I got 5 points.
Hey,
that is
yeah.
20%.
Golden Corral points right there.
I've seen some shows.
Yeah. Are there any particular ones that you remember that sparked your interest that you thought, you know what, I might watch that?
Kind of the underrated ones that you watch, like Murder, She Wrote is like you mentioned, Joel. That's again an omnipresent show, and especially with Angela Lansbury's passing, I was like, I bet you I'd like that. I should check that out. Remington Steele, at least a few episodes for sure. I mean, the fact that I've never seen Miami Vice. That's kind of a legendary
It's pretty
one
good.
as well.
Yeah.
So I think the big ones on this list that I look at and go, yeah, I probably should have watched Family Ties at some point. There's definitely at least I might go check the big episodes out or something.
Right.
Well, thank you, Zach, and thank you, Casey, for coming here on our show and being with us today and for choosing this topic. I do think at some point, gentlemen, we need to do a follow-up in Casey's honor for 90 shows because there were so many of my answers that got killed
Yeah,
because
it's so
they were
true.
like 89 to 95, So, and then maybe we'll do a 70 show.
Challenge the audience with the 70s show.
Yeah, we'll
Sure.
see. But let us know if you have any opinions on the categories we did today. We like it when you play along at home. So let us know what 80s TV shows you would pick for these categories. Remembering, of course, Casey's rule has to be 50% at least in the 80s. Let us know on Facebook. Let us know on Instagram. Let us know on Twitter. We want to hear from you. Casey, before we go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to or anything you'd like to plug?
I'll just say hi to my wife and 2 daughters.
Nice.
They'll listen to this one. I usually make them listen to Baconsale episodes whenever we take a trip and
Road
in the
trips?
road trip. So they've heard many of the tearing and Disney versus kind of episodes.
Yep.
So
Do they watch any of these shows? Do you know if they are fans of any of these?
I know they've heard me talk about them before. But I don't think
enough.
my girls, I'm sure, have not seen hardly any of them. But
Well, maybe this episode will open their eyes. Hello to all you out there.
And sorry that he makes you listen on road trips. But before we leave, we'd like to thank our patrons. So starting with the I'm the Listener category, we have Sir and Madam Hicks, Shannon West, Scott Sprague, Ryan and Marley, Rocky and Steph, Lady Terry A. Finley, Juice, the Cooler King Swallow, Jennifer Kilkaski, Dave Kelly, Casey Cummings, hey! Briggs is Hot, Brayden Winterton, Angela Plotz, Andrew in the Cold and Dark, and Adam and Rachel Crump.
Thank you, patrons.
And from the Bacon Council, we have the one, the only Chris Anderson, Steven, everyone's favorite Ross, Star Wars expert Kyler, our favorite couple, the Madsons, Nicole D. Kale, Johnny English the Brick, Her Royal Highness Jessica Terry, Glow Clan Daniel, Debbie Foster, and Beaker.
Yay!
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you, patrons. You are the golden to our girls. You're the fall to our guy. You are the murder she wrote. No. But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter. You can find me performing with Quickwits. They perform at the Midvale Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
If you want to find me on Twitter or Instagram, it's at Kenny3DD. If you want to read my movie reviews, at ShowtimeShowdown.com.
If you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Tumbling Mustard. But more importantly, make sure you're following Baconsale. Please visit that Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Baconsale. While you're doing that, stop by tpublic.com/Baconsale, where you can get yourself some merch. We love to see it. And then if you like the show and you like what's going on further, you can go to patreon.com/Baconsale, where support starts at just $3 a month. All sorts of benefits, including suggesting show ideas, seeing behind-the-scenes content, and, of course, the almost weekly Bacon Bits that we try to keep short and fail all the time.
So until next time, beady, 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 beady.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. You need...
But that's not a guarantee.
Might be from me.
I
One
feel
take.
geriatric and joyful.
Study up.
And
I
can't
had
do
a
it.
flow, and you ruined it.
I'm sorry.
Did we do that?
Yeah, I'm right, Joel. I'm right
No.
this time.
No.
Baggy sweatpants and the Reeboks with the strap, I have been bad on the show lately, and I'm going in timeout.
Everything's coming up Casey right now.
It was good.
Oh, no, cut that out.
Oh, gross, Zach.
Oh, wow, Zach, why would you say that? I'm offended.
That's ending up at the end.
Don't play with live wires, they can shock you. Now we know, and knowing is half the battle.
Scrooge McDuck is crazy. This
Yes.
hurts so much.
It does.
That's so weird. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Ancient Lamentations, baby.
Absolutely
I'm
it
matching
is.
with everyone. Why can't I be my own person?
We're gonna have a sleepover and eat snacks all night long and
Yeah.
drink Jolt. Show me that smile.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah, Joel?
I can't remember.
Beady, 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 beady,
No.
beady.
What? No. Never hide in the fridge. Look how cool I am. I'm awesome. I'm going to ride a skateboard.
I'm one of those people. I'm mad. I'm really mad.
Raymond.
Yeah.
Mall.
Have you ever seen them in the same room?
Pepper.
Stop bashing the Muppets.
Yeah,
I keep wanting to like you, so I push this out of my head.
Beady, 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 beady.
Stop.
I just Googled her. Beady, beady, beady.
Stop. Ew. You make robots sound gross. Thank you, MacGyver, for your
Been there.
sacrifice.
So I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch, but I'm going to, yep. Joel,